want to comment on why this has taken so long, do you think?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll just say a few brief words. I think Angela has summed up the situation, and obviously she and also the DWP would have been fully involved in the toings and froings in the report. What I would actually just say, standing back slightly as an outsider, it is an incredibly complicated issue that means an enormous amount to a lot of people, and therefore it is right that the Ombudsman took a long time in deliberating, hearing all those different views and coming to their conclusions in their two reports. I just wanted to quickly come in, Mr. Chairman, on the issue of an apology. As far as I am concerned, and I'm looking both at the Parliamentary Health Service Ombudsman's remit and also what the DWC say with regard to financial redress, that actually an apology, you don't just want an apology on its own. Apology needs to come along with an explanation of what went wrong, and to make sure, and that it's primarily involved with communication and showing that steps have been taken to ensure that will not be repeated, plus that financial compensation as well. So the three, if you like, come together. That's just the one point I would make on Dr. Spencer's original question.
Thank you.
Chairman, just commenting on the first of all, it's important, I think, to point out that in the report, the level 4 recommendation, it is a suggestion, not a recommendation. The Ombudsman is leaving it to Parliament to look into this matter further. Back in early 2022, the all-party parliamentary group did submit a representation to the Ombudsman for what we believed the compensation should be, and looking at the various levels, taking into account the evidence that we had received from all around the UK, pretty harrowing evidence in many respects. We had little difficulty in recommending that it should be at level 6. Now, that in itself is, there are, as we've heard, there are varying cases of people who have been impacted. The advantage of going for a level is that it is its simplicity and speed, but it may not compensate properly a number of women who've been impacted. It might overcompensate others who had taken the measures. And I think in a subsequent representation we submitted, and I will pay tribute to my former co-chair Andrew Gwynn on this, he described it as a bell curve type of compensation, whereby those who had received least notice of the longest postponement, i.e. women who were advised that they had a year till their pension went up by 5 years or so, they should receive the most, and those who had received the longest notice, the shortest increase, should receive a lesser amount. Now, I accept that bell curve probably needs an element of refinement, but that would be the sort of approach I would suggest that we should be looking to introduce to actually to take into account the Ombudsman's recommendation that this matter is resolved as quickly as possible.
David Linden.
Thank you very much, Chair. So in principle, the Ombudsman has said that the amount of redress should reflect individual circumstances, but in reality a kind of standardised approach might be more appropriate in this case, given just the sheer number affected and the need for that timely remedy, some of which you've touched on. Can I ask the panel, each of you, which would you support? And I'll start with Mr. Aldous.
Well, based on what I've said and what the evidence that we accumulated and the case we put in, we recommended the APPG level 6 back 2 years ago. I don't think we would be shying away and diverting, or I certainly wouldn't be diverting from that recommendation that we made at that stage.
Okay.
Thank you, Sir Peter.
Thanks, Debbie. As as has been said, it is normally when the Ombudsman makes a report, issues a report, within minutes it is accompanied fairly quickly by a response from the relevant department saying, yes, we accept these recommendations, we will be putting in place the following measures to address them. Clearly, the Ombudsman was not comfortable they were going to get to that response, and therefore they have handed it over to Parliament to play a lead role in the process. Now, the nature of our constitution, the way Parliament is setting up, there is no silver bullet, if you like, for Parliament to go down to actually get that compensation and respond in place. Parliament does have a variety of mechanisms that can play a role. We as an all-party parliamentary group will be having further evidence sessions with the various groups to come up with our own proposals. You yourselves are extremely influential. You will come up with your roles. There will be debates. There's a debate on the 16th of this month, which I believe will have a motion that will help as well. I would hope that the government will not be a sort of bystander sitting back and saying, right, chaps, we don't need to do anything, and that they will engage and listen and hopefully take part in this process so that we can come to a solution sooner rather than later.
Thank you. Peter. Yeah.
Thank you, Chairman. Since 1995, there have been some significant and dramatic changes to the state pension age, both the equalisation and the increasing it over the years. I would expect that debate will probably those changes will carry on. What has come out of this is that the means of communication for people to prepare and properly prepare for those changes does need reviewing, and the DWP, if you like, really do need to review their systems and to make sure that, as we've said, that ideally those 10 years of people preparing is actually what actually happens. We're still hearing examples of people getting a year's notice of changes. That is not acceptable.